everybody. This is Ben Welter from Synthetic Orange speaking, and today I have Gijs van Ouverkerk, who is the member of Heliophile, a Dutch band that is going to perform in a few weeks here in Karlsruhe. Before I start the interview with Gijs, I'd like to give you a rough introduction into Synthetic Orange. This is a project that we started about half a year ago, and our goal is to bring some of these bands to stages here in Karlsruhe, in my hometown. And on October 14th, we have the kickoff event, and you can see there are 5 bands playing. It's Violet Croats from the UK, then we've got 2 Swedish bands from A Presence of Mind and Train to Spain. Then we have Live on Demand, who are coming from the region of the Black Forest here near Karlsruhe. And finally, we've got Heliophile. That's it. October 14th, 5 bands live on the stage. And for each one of these bands, I would like to give you some kind of information about those bands in form of an interview. And today, I've got Heliophile. To be more precise, I've got Gijs van Ouverkerk, who is, let's say, the founder of the band. Guys, hello, everyone. First of all, thank you for joining me during this session.
It's my pleasure. Great to be here.
And also for joining at the concert in 3 weeks. I mean, it's a great event for me, probably also for you. And before we come to the project itself, yesterday you had a release party of your new album, which is called Permeate. Well, how was the party?
It was fantastic. It was really great. It's always, you never know how many people are going to turn up, right, when you throw a party like that.
That's it, yes.
There's not exactly a big synthpop scene here, so we, invited friends, family, and tried to make a bit of publicity for the event in the local media. But it turned out to be a full venue, so we had a great time, and I think the concert went well. We sold a lot of CDs, and yeah, it was a big success.
That's good to hear. That looks nice. Okay, I hope that we have the same experience in 3 weeks here in Karlsruhe with the audience. So it was a release party. So when did you start this project of this CD? How did you? Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, well, strictly speaking, I started it right when Heliophile started, because the last song on the album, which is called Your Clandestine, is a song that was one of the first songs that I wrote for Heliophile. And I never really got a chance to fit it into another release, so it ended up on this album. So basically, that means that was started in 2010. So basically, the whole project lasted for 7 years, and that included me building up the name for Heliophile, building up the skills to do this synthpop thing, and yeah, it's taken a long time, so it really feels like a big milestone in my, well, I wouldn't say career, just my project really as Heliophile.
Okay. You just mentioned it started even with the start of Heliophile, so it was in 2010. How did you start with that kind of synth music? I read about you, and what I found very interesting is you started in a completely different kind of music.
That's right. I used to play death metal, and I was a singer. Can you believe it? So I was growling, playing the bass and writing, as I do now with Heliophile, also writing all the music and recording it. Well, not completely by myself, but yeah. Basically being the big mastermind behind the project. And well, at one point the metal band sort of started to disband a little bit. We started to lose interest, all the members really at the same time. And I did nothing for a few years in music. But of course, you always return to music because I know it's one of my big passions. And I guess it was when I heard Diorama song at a Gothic party, a song called Synthesize Me, might be well known in Germany, that I heard this connection to my earlier musical roots when I was a small kid, and I listened to the charts in the 80s. I listened to bands like Pet Shop Boys, Aha, Duran Duran and stuff, and I heard this synth sound in a much more modern context, in a kind of a dark context. And I think Diorama is also kind of a melancholic band, so it also resonated with my metal influences. So that really grabbed me, and I thought, like, maybe I can write songs again and put them in kind of that packaging, that synth thing. And I discovered that it was great fun to learn how to make synth pop music, and yeah, the rest is history.
So it's in a way like you started to get familiar with the instruments, like the guitar, bass guitar, synthesizer, and then even drums, as far as I know. And then you just migrated from one kind of music to another kind of music, just using the tools or the skills you already had from this other chapter in your musician's life. Like,
in a way, but the synth stuff, the synthesizers and keyboard stuff, I really had to learn from scratch when I started doing synth pop. So I was like a complete noob when I started Heliophile. I didn't know what to do. I had to learn how to produce electronic music.
Okay.
But I did have some experience in producing music in general, producing rock music. So that helped, obviously. But it was a long journey nonetheless.
Okay, you already used the term mastermind behind Heliophile. So it's you who writes the lyrics, it's you who writes the melodies, who plays some of the instruments, who maybe does some mixing of these tapes. There is another channel I can see. It's because it's the visual experience. So you also assemble the videos?
Yeah, you mean the video for satellite that's on YouTube?
The animations I've seen on YouTube, yeah. When it's not taking pictures of real artists, but virtual environments, more like.
Yeah, maybe you're referring to the lyric video of Tower So Tall, the one with all the text that scrolls by and stuff?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't make that one myself. But for example, the satellite video, the one with the actors, the couple who are arguing, I filmed those images myself. But I had some help in editing it and putting it all together.
Okay, so it looks like you have a big set of skills dealing with all different kind of technologies and musics and all this creative stuff. So
yeah, my occupation is being a photographer.
Okay.
So I have visual skills that I can use in the video making and the graphical design as well, because I designed all the artwork as well for the CD.
Okay, that sounds like a big challenge and very interesting. Deepest respect. So I can focus on one technology, and you also cover different aspects of these things. That's really cool. Yeah.
Right.
So we got a release thing that's when you said it started like that, or the death metal part was before Heliophile. How did Heliophile itself evolve over time?
Well, it started just as a completely one-man band, just me making music in my room. Releasing my first EP, Nebula, back in, I'm very bad at this, I think it was 2013, so that's about 4 years ago. And only when I had completed the EP did I start to think about bringing this live, putting this project on the stages. So I started to look for other musicians to help me form a live band and play this live. And our first gig was, I think, the year after the release of Nebula, 2014 probably. And yeah, we've started to build more and more after that.
So you had several gigs during the time after 2014. I met you, maybe for the audience, just for information, where I know Gijs from is I was invited from for an event called iSynth, which was held in France, in Lille. And over there was also Vile Electrodes playing, who are joining us on the Synthetic Orange event. But also some other bands. It was, I think, 3 days party. 2 of them were really in the context of the festival itself. A lot of bands playing over there, and that's where I connected to you. And what I want to say to you right here in this moment is, maybe you can remember after the meeting, after the session in Lille, I already asked you for, would you be interested in joining us here on an event in Karlsruhe? And you said, yeah, definitely, I want to be part of the show. And I didn't manage it that time, but I didn't stop asking for stages, and this year I managed to get one, and this is why we're still here. Thank you very much for helping me in the motivation, keeping me on track on this goal, because it's now our chance, our opportunity to, well, to see this experience in about 3 weeks. So it was also your support. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's good to hear, but it's also a large part due to your own persistence in putting this event on, because I get asked these questions so many times, you know, like people like, hey, do you want to, I'm going to throw a festival, do you want to play here, and you want to come to England and play there? And in the end, many times it doesn't they don't really follow through on it. Something happens and they just ended up canceling it, or they don't really, there's a lot of talk, so to say, and not a lot of action. And you've actually managed to put the action where your mouth was. You've actually followed through on all your plans, and here it is. In a month's time, we're going to be throwing a big party in Karlsruhe. So big thanks for that.
There were some obstacles over there, believe me. So it's a big challenge, and I'm quite happy that we have this venue, that I convinced Andreas to give us the stage for one evening. And I'm also quite happy that all the other bands said immediately we will come. I mean, we're not talking only about bands here from Karlsruhe. We're talking about Gothenburg, about London, about Netherlands. So you all drive quite a long distance just to be here on stage, and that's very appreciated. So really happy about this. So how many? Talking about live concerts, then, how often do you perform on stage?
It's hard to exactly recall, but I think we've done about a dozen shows at least, maybe more, maybe 15, up to from when we started. Okay. So it's starting to build a little bit, and yeah, even though there's not a big synth scene or any synth scene at all in the Netherlands, we still manage to play just a handful of concerts there. Every few months we have something on, and it keeps us busy, it keeps us motivated. We discover new audiences, and the audience starts to discover us. So it's been going all right, actually.
So from my awareness of this synthpop scene is that there is a scene, but it's really covering not well big areas. So I told you I was traveling to Lille, which is about 700 kilometers away from here. So it was not just like driving there on a Saturday evening and getting back home to your own bed on the same night after 3 or 4 hours of party. It was really more challenging. From what I see these days is that Train to Spain, for example, they performed live in London just 1 or 2 weeks ago. Yeah, you get an invitation to Karlsruhe while Electrodes is traveling that long distance. At this moment, I think they're on next weekend they fly to somewhere in Sweden. When they're back on Sunday, they will give their interview and so on. There is a scene, but all these guys have to travel quite long distances to be on stages, or even to be in the audience to watch the others on stage. That's it's a big challenge for all of you, for the bands and also for the audience.
Yeah, that's definitely what I've noticed, that many fans are traveling huge distances. Yes. We once played in the Netherlands with together with Model Depose, and a guy from Liège in Belgium drove all the way up there, hundreds of kilometers, just to see the two bands. And that was amazing. And like, look at all the people who came to Lille. Look at all the people who come to the UK for stuff like Baz, the festival, or more recently the Dave Charles Music Extravaganza. Okay. It was a big party with many people also from Sweden and Germany, and it's pretty heartwarming to see how big these fans are, how really into the music they are. It's a lovely family to be part of, and everybody calls it their family. That's the fun thing. It really feels like a family.
That was the major impression I had in Lille, because at that time there was not really a stage. I mean, it was just one flat area. There was some kind of tape on the floor, which was the border between the band that is now performing and the audience. And when one band was finished, they just went 3 meters to the other part of to the other side, and another band joined the stage. So that was really like a family, and that was a great thing I really want to establish here in Karlsruhe as well. There will not be a big distance between the bands and the audience. You can have a talk to them when you are on stage, of course, then it's your time to perform, and when you're back downstairs, you can just talk again with the audience and maybe create new friendships and get connections to other bands as well. You just mentioned Model Depose. I mean, it's Roland, isn't it?
Yes, Roland, that's right.
Yeah, I was in touch with him too. So that's when I started this project. Also, other bands approached me, and that's also quite nice to see that there is a market, or there is some kind of opportunity to establish something. There are enough bands. There's a lot, and that's
Sure.
quite cool, because I once I have established, let's say, locations here in Karlsruhe, then we can really easily instantiate further concepts. That's what I really would like to have. But let's get back to Heliophile. I mean, it's your interview today. When we talk about your music, is there some major topic that all your lyrics or all your songs have in common?
Well, it's not a topic that they have in common, but I think what they have in common many times is the fact that they are melancholic. So
Okay.
they talk about pretty dark stuff sometimes, but there always seems to be like a light at the end of the tunnel. So there's
Okay.
always a sense of hope in the lyrics. And I
Okay.
think that's also what is kind of embodied in the word permeate, which is the album title. That just basically means like the light that is pervading through a room. You know, when you have the curtains closed and there's a little bit of light coming through and shining into the room. That's kind of that symbolism of it's a dark place, but there's some light shining in, and you know, there is hope.
Okay, so that leads to the next question, obviously. What is your inspiration to label the band or the project Heliophile, which means addicted to light or prefers the light?
Yeah, something like that. It could be an organism like a plant or a bacteria that favors the sun and tends to grow towards the sun or move towards the sun.
Okay.
I don't really know how I got the name precisely, actually, but my death metal band was called Solarisis, and that also has to do with being exposed to sunlight.
Okay.
So when I think I came across the name, the word heliophile in a biology documentary somewhere on maybe Discovery Channel or something, and it always stuck with me, like, hey, this is something similar to my other band name. I guess it just stuck, and when it was time to form a new band, I remembered the name and chose it. And I thought it was appropriate for, the kind of feel that I was trying to portray.
Okay. So, and do you have let's say, you started with death metal, and you connected yourself more to this, to the scene, which is in general said to be melancholic and dark, and Live on Demand, they describe their music like dark electro, for example. Do you have any other bands where you say not compare with, but you're looking upwards to them? They are like some idols for you?
Yeah, for sure. To start out with, like I said, Diorama.
Yeah. From
Germany. They were the band that really triggered my passion for dark electronic music.
Okay.
And they're the ones that triggered me to start making this music myself. But yeah, as I moved myself within the scene, I discovered many other great bands like Mesh. I'm a big fan of Mesh from the UK. They're wonderful. They're such great songwriters, great productions. Tenek, obviously, that you may have seen in Lille as well. They're a great band. There's so much great stuff out there.
Okay. So when we're talking about more this, I mean, the Synthetic Orange is not 100% dark or Gothic. It's the topic, or the label itself is dealing with electronic music, and some of these bands that are performing in a few weeks, I wouldn't really call them black or how to say, dark musicians. So Vile Electrodes, for example, for me, they are not attached to the Gothic scene from their style of music. It's more like synthesizer pop I was listening to in the 90s, of course. And Live on Demand, on the other side, they are really dark. They are part of the Gothic scene. I know Sven for some years, and he's also DJing in the Gothic scene here in the region of around Karlsruhe in Mannheim and now in Freiburg, for example. So for me, that's a bit different. But which of the, let's say, well-known festivals like Amphi or Wave Gothic Treffen in Leipzig or Mera Luna, do you also visit these festivals?
Well, not a lot, although I went to Wave Gothic Treffen in Leipzig for the first time this year, which was amazing. It was really great.
Okay.
So I really enjoyed that. And I went to Etropolis once. I think that was last year in Oberhausen, or is it Oberhausen?
It's Oberhausen, yes.
Yeah. So I do like the big festivals, but I often don't really fancy the big name bands.
Okay.
I'm generally not a huge fan of the bands that have large followings, because I just generally find the smaller bands more interesting musically. So I tend to go to the small club concerts to see the bands I love.
Okay. Well, we are a small club concert.
Yes, I'm definitely at home there.
Okay. So what is your expectation towards Synthetic Orange?
Well, it's lovely for us to play in Germany for the first time, because I mean, there's lots of great festivals and gigs being put on in Germany that are in our style of music, really. So unlike in the Netherlands, so we have kind of maybe big expectations to about maybe getting some exposure in Germany now that we play in Karlsruhe, and maybe we hope that it will be the start of something that we can play in Germany again afterwards. Somebody will discover us and book us for another show in another place maybe, and things might start to evolve from there. But we'll see.
Definitely. I hope I can multiply your perceptions here in the region. And my expectation, from what I've seen so far, is when I was talking to others about, hey, I'm making this concert here in Karlsruhe, the names of the bands were not really known, and that's really what I want to change. I want to give you a stage. I want to show the audience here, look at these bands. They are not popular so far, but they are worth listening to, and that's what I want to, well, create here to be successful with that event. It's not about the money. It's really about being successful. For me means I can give you an audience. You can have some people listening to you. Maybe you can sell some of your CDs, of course, and that means that people are interested in your kind of music. That's it. So
exactly. That's what we're going for, and we're not expecting a huge breakthrough all of a sudden. You know, these things come with little baby steps.
Yeah.
You play in venues, you meet new people, you do your best, and they are introduced to your music, and slowly and steadily more and more people get into it, and hopefully that leads to something bigger in the end. And so for the most important thing for us is to enjoy what we're doing, and to just have a great time at what we're doing, because it is hard work many times, and it has to stay fun, because that's the reason we're doing it.
And that's really, in fact, what drives me a lot, because if I would take a look at the let's say at the financial aspects every day for this, I wouldn't do it, because at the moment it's time to invest. You invest your time traveling hundreds of kilometers through Germany. I invest my time, and also some other aspects, of course. But for me, it's really worth being done, and I want to establish this story. And you already have success stories, because I'm already showing you and your name, your Heliophile name, to a lot of friends here, but also to other, let's say, organizers of festivals somewhere else in Germany. And of course, they will have a look at this concert, maybe ask me afterwards, how was it, what was the story, and so on. And then you will see how things evolve after that, of course, and exactly. your project evolves and how my project evolves. Quite cool. Okay, what else should Heliophile or future Heliophiles know from you?
You mean Heliophile listeners? What should they know about me?
Yeah, I mean, it's an opportunity to tell others about what is Heliophile. You said about who plays the music, who creates it, that it's mainly you, that it's about dark music, a bit depressive, or how did you say, melancholic music, and that you perform for years now. That's the first time that you perform in Germany. What else should the audience be aware of when it's about Heliophile?
Well, I think our biggest focus is the songs. I mean, in the end, it's all about the songs. To me, the whole synthpop thing is just a packaging, really, a sound, a kind of style to package something that is a song at its core. I could as well make a rock song out of the things I write. So the core of the song, the melodies, the chords, the lyrics, that is the most important thing. And I choose to package it in a synth-pop style because I really like it, and it's really interesting for me. But I think the songwriting is just very important for us, so we just really focus on writing memorable songs that stick with you and that stay with you for years.
Okay, good.
And as my skills as a producer progress, I also start to get better at the whole producing thing and the whole synthesis thing, because the great thing about using synthesizers to make music is that you can really dive deep into the sound creation method. I mean, you can take it very easy and just grab a few presets of some synthesizers and throw them together. But as you start to get better at this, you want to program the sounds yourself. And recently I've gotten into modular synthesizers. Those are, I don't know if you know what they look like, but they're big cases full of modules that you have to connect with wires. So you form connections with actual wires to make sound go from one place to the other and make voltages go from one place to the other to affect the sound. And this is really like a very deep level synthesis and sound creation thing that you can just lose yourself in completely. So that's what keeps it interesting for me, is to be able to dive in as deeply as I want and learn so much more from one record, from one release to the next. There's just so much to discover, so I don't think I'll be tired of this style of music for anytime soon.
Well, I think that you sound like somebody who always needs a new challenge, and once you managed one obstacle, you find the next level. So when you started at the beginning, you mentioned all these different instruments. Then we talked about who writes the lyrics and the melodies and so on. And whenever you reach a specific level of expertise in one of these fields, then you are looking for the next one. That's how you look to me.
Yeah, I think that's very accurate, the way you described that. But and then I tend to not jump to a completely different thing and abandon all that I've done before, but I tend to just find new challenges in the things that I'm already doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes it
That's
fun.
I
think it creates a better product for the people who are listening to the music.
Sure, that's quite cool. I mean, that's what I have deepest respect for this. I mean, my skills is more like bringing things together, and your skill is to make your music better, even better, and more, and attach new maybe technologies to the music and so on. That's really what I really like. That's really cool. Okay, so I would say from my side, thank you very much for this interview, and I'm looking forward to the session in about 3 weeks here in Karlsruhe, to Heliophile and all the other bands. Thank you very much, guys. And well, no, it's your final words now.
Okay, well, let me just say my pleasure. It's been great talking to you and explaining some things about Heliophile to you and to the rest of the world. And we're really looking forward to the gig in Karlsruhe, so we hope to see many of you there. And do come and talk to us afterwards. We will be there. We just want to make it a great weekend for everybody. So see you there.
Perfect statement. So thank you very much, guys. I will. I recorded the session, of course, and I will also publish the required information so where you can find the video afterwards. So thank you very much, and see you in 3 weeks.
Yep.
That's it. Bye.
Bye-bye.